all set. It's all set. Can we have a motion to approve the non-public session notes for October 10th, 2024?
I move to approve.
All right, second? Yes, thank you. Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Do we have to make a motion to keep them sealed? Yeah, okay. As this is a,
Ongoing.
yeah, whatever that, that clause we're supposed to state related to land discussion. So I'd like to have a motion to keep these sealed until further.
So moved that
All
we
right,
keep
thank you.
these sealed.
Second.
Second, okay. All in favor say aye.
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 You have to give me that.
Yeah, why don't you just give those back? We'll collect those. Thank you, Bridget. Thank you. All right. Very good. All right, we're going to do June next meeting. Yeah. All right, financial summary. So, our current balance for the Conservation Commission Fund is $137,649.01. The Shanda Fund hasn't changed at $4,621.11. And the total is $142,270.12. So we got some interest as usual. We paid out a partial payment for the Heron Point boundary survey, partial boundary survey of $1,500. And I kind of goofed up on the West Environmental. We had approved the whole $1,148.10, so that's what that should say there, and it should not be on the next page. So those were the two biggies. Those are the two expenses. Remember, we still have the outstanding $13,500 or so for the Mitchell project, and $2,700 balance for the Heron Point survey, and the Cascades River is monitoring. So those are outstanding. New requests. Okay, if we could maybe do that now. Might as well do that next. Well, sorry, we'll come back to that because we should look at the other. Yeah, let me just say that the new request is $10,500 for the Wigan Farm Boardwalk, and we'll talk about that in a second in terms of what that entails. Any questions on that conservation fund? Sorry, that was a little bit muddled, but you got the picture. The general fund budget balance is $4,515.20, and the expenditure was for Sue's time. All right, so we should do some expenses right now just to get them out of the way. We have the annual invoice from New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions for $450, which I think is $50 less than last. So the benefit to us, there was a letter with it. If you read it, it gives us a discount on the annual conference. They have a resource library on the website, educational programs, networking, and I think probably one of the bigger things is they stay on top of the legislature and some of the issues that are pertinent to conservation commissions and conservation-related things. So that's some of the things I think our funds help to support. So if you're in favor of that, I can have a motion to pay that. And you'll do, and that comes out of the general fund budget.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Second. Okay, any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, great.
I'd like to abstain.
Okay, all right. Okay, so then we have the proposed contract from Martin Forestry for the Wigan Farm Boardwalk for $10,500. This is again funded by a grant. We have two grants, one from LRAC for $7,500 and one from the Great Bay Stewardship Program for $3,200. And that comes to $10,700. So this will be covered by that. We also have the expenses of Mark West, but I think this contract is for up to $10,500, and so if we can get some volunteer time to help dismantle the boardwalk, I think it will actually end up being less than that. They tend to be under budget, which is nice. So We'll talk about it maybe a little bit later, but they're prepared to do this probably the end of November, like the week after Thanksgiving. And with the warm weather, I think the ground will still be pretty good. So we'll talk about some volunteer opportunities. But if folks are supportive of that, I'd like to approve the full contract.
I'd make a motion to
Okay,
approve that
thank you,
full
Chris.
contract.
For a second?
A second.
Second by Tom. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Oh, sorry. Did you want to say something?
No, I just haven't.
It's going to be higher, well, it's going to be 2 feet higher, which is probably not the height of the existing bridge, but it'll be a little bit longer and it'll have ramps. It'll be a little bit more sloped, so people will be able to slip for accessibility and so forth. So
Those helicoils metal?
yeah, I think they'll be metal, yes. Yeah. It's something that DES actually likes now because it's much less disturbing. And I don't know actually how we can do it. It's by hand or I think it's by hand. So yeah, so that'd be great. Okay.
So
Yeah.
is they're not completely covered, this doesn't completely cover the cost of removal material?
So that was what we were gonna help on, is to help remove materials. But I still think we'll probably.
Maybe or to it says an estimate for trucking business owned materials, so the transfer station could be provided if needed.
The DPW will do that for us.
Okay,
so,
yeah, I was just making sure.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Anything else? Good, good questions? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All right. And we already did Mark West, so we don't actually have to do that one tonight. We've already taken care of that. We have our permit, and we're good to go. Okay, that's all I had for financial stuff. We can move on to committee and board reports, and tonight we have Drew Kefever back with us to give us an update on the Piscasset Greenway Management Plan update from CELT. And if you remember, Drew is on the committee representing Newmarket. So,
Exactly.
thanks, Drew.
You're welcome. Yes, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Drew Kefever. I live over on Elm Street. I've been involved in various conservation things in town since somewhere around 2002. I was the Newmarket representative for the Southeast Land Trust's management update for the Piscasset Greenway. So the management plan was created for the Piscasset Greenway when the Piscasset Greenway was initially conserved. Subsequent to that, additional properties have been added, a little over 100 acres, and those 3 properties that have been added are all in Newmarket, and so they wanted to make sure that Newmarket had some involvement in the management plan update. So on the map up here, the properties that were added were this pink one, this blue one, and this yellow one. And there's also a little tiny piece over here. That little chunk right there is, I forget what it is, it's like an acre or something. It's a weird little parcel that when things were divided up, I think got forgotten and then got remembered at some point and was, tagged on. So nothing really happens on that parcel. I'll just say that right from the get-go. So the original plan, I think, was developed in 2008, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, 2008. And so this update is to incorporate those additional properties and also just to make sure that the management plan is appropriate for what's going on out there. I'll try to stick to sort of gross generalities. In a big picture perspective, I would say there's not going to be significant changes to the management plan other than incorporation of those additional properties in the management plan. So for example, the trails that are on the property, which are shown with the dashed lines, there is not a proposal to add any additional trails. The the trails that are there are appropriate and well-used, et cetera. The access points for the property, there's really going to be no change there either. So there's an access point off the end of Neal Mill Road where that dead ends. There's an access point off of Old Lee Road. That one's not shown on this map, but there is one there. There's an access point off the end of Halls Mill Road. There's an access point at the intersection of Route 87 or Piscassic Road and the rail trail. There's a little parking lot there. And then if you follow the rail trail in, there's an easement that you can go through some private property to enter the Piscassic Greenway. And then the last access point is the parking lot over here on Bald Hill Road. One thing that was recommended and is going to be implemented is the parking lot over there is relatively small and it often fills up. It's really only for 4 cars. Under the easement that was put on that property, the parking area there can be enlarged up to 6 cars, and so that is a plan. They're gonna enlarge that parking lot very slightly to allow for 6 parking spaces instead of the 4 that are currently there. Let's see, what else? So a couple of things that are happening out there related to plant dieback, so to speak. The emerald ash borer, which I'm sure most of you know about, is wiping out the ash trees in this area. There's not a lot of ash trees on that property, but there are some, and so those will be either dying or they're already dead, and they'll drop to the ground. The hemlock woolly aldehyde is also present on that property, and so there is some talk of doing forestry to cut out some of those hemlocks while they are still a viable wood product, because otherwise they're going to get wiped out and nothing will happen with them. The management plan also has updates related to which portions of the property will be subject to forestry and when that will occur or when that is likely to occur. And so that is something that we will see in the relative near future. And Ellen, correct me if I have any of these dates wrong, but I believe starting next year there's going to be some forestry happening, I think predominantly in this area, more on the eastern side of the property. And therefore, this main trail that comes in off of Neal Mill Road will be closed for some portion of time while that forestry is going on, because it's not, it's just not, from a safety perspective, you have to close that down.
Can they do that?
What was that?
They can close a Class A trail?
I mean, there'll be signs to say, the forestry
Yeah.
work's going on.
Yeah, and, you can walk in the field, you'll probably pick up more ticks. But from a safety perspective, they'll be using the trail because that's the way to minimize damage while they're, it's already a road. So they'll be using that because that minimizes other areas getting damaged during the forestry process.
So the logging operation, they'd come in through our gate and go down, and you know where the hill is with the beautiful sugar maple, if you've been out there?
Yeah.
So they originally were going to go all the way down and have the landing way down into the Newfields area, but we talked to them, and so they're going to go, there's an opening into the field right there before you get to the sugar maple, so they're going to go in and have the landing right there. And that, otherwise, the logging trucks actually weren't going to be able to go over that hill anyway, it turns out. So, and then the skidders that will bring the logs, the landing will enter the field
Down in the
down
corner
by
here.
where the stone wall is, where the town boundary is, and they
Yeah.
go up, and then they may come down through the trail, or they may cross over. So they're going to try to minimize that whole section of being on the trail. Yeah. So it might be next year, it might be the.
Might be
just depends.
2026, yeah.
They are going to do some invasive work in the clearing, the clear cut area. So that's what I know. These are going to be.
Yeah, and so what Ellen was saying, there's an area that they have clear cut for early successional habitat so that things that need younger growth have a space to do that. The problem is that whenever you clear spaces around here these days, invasive species are some of the first to, if they have an opportunity, they seize that opportunity. And so there are areas of invasives within those areas. And so yes, there's a plan to go out and do some invasive species removal in those areas to try and help beat them back or minimize their spread at the very least.
Is that done with a contractor or volunteers or?
Volunteers generally, but I think there
No,
may be some.
they're the forestry company, Marino Forestry, they're gonna do the, invasive work. It's, it's, volunteers can do some, but it's really hard work and there's much too much, particularly in that early succession area.
Yeah.
So it'll be herbicide.
They talk about so presumably they're going up Otis Hill to get the hemlock that are up there.
Yeah.
It's very densely vegetated with just hemlock. Are they gonna clear that, did they talk, or are they talking leaving any of those hemlock there?
They'll probably leave some.
Leave
Yeah.
some.
Seems like an opening in the middle of the forest for
Yeah.
invasive species.
I don't know. The plan was to remove hemlocks that are still viable as a forestry product. One thing that will do is that will also open up the understory somewhat, and that will allow things that are either already growing to get more light and grow and help succeed a little sooner. And if not, then things will, if everything that's there is not a tree,
So it's a viable forest product still? So I'm curious, is it a funding effort or just a removal of it?
I think it's really more removal while you have an opportunity to.
You mean the whole project going to be economically viable or is it
Well, no, if you're removing it because it's still a marketable forestry product, makes it sound like it's more.
Yeah, Charlie tends to not, the way unless they have a grant from NRCS to subsidize, I'm not sure they do with this, so they have to market the job so that it's economically viable for the logger, unless they are going to.
Right, I guess I'm saying otherwise they wouldn't even go in to get a hemlock at all, they'd just let them die in place and become wildland trees.
There is some evidence that if you thin the hemlock, they may be able to be healthier and withstand development. That's something they're actually seeing in some of the places and in the state, using the state land. It could be partly for that. They're very happy to, when they get ready, which I think is at least possibly a year out, but to do, usually they do a walk before they do the harvest, so that would be really good time to go out and see specifically.
The hardwood forest in that vicinity is it's very sparsely populated by large trees and there's almost no understory for someone to do around there.
And the main reason the access is coming from Neal Mill side instead of the Halls Mill side is on the Halls Mill side, there's that steep downhill that is rocky and narrow, and it's just not viable to get logging trucks in and out that way. So in general, anything on the eastern side of the main water drainage and wetlands that flow through this property, anything on the eastern side of that, the forestry will take place and go out via the Neal Mill Road. And then when they do any forestry on this western side, they'll come through this easement, across the rail trail, and come in on the burn trail to do logging. Because I think they're planning on doing some logging up in this area as well, right, Alan?
That would be the next one after.
The next one, yeah.
They've done that before, that.
Kind of in the Moraz area, yeah.
Use the same landing, take a big landing
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, there's a that field as you go in, yes, that would be the same landing. Yeah. I think those are really the biggest things. Everything else is sort of maintaining the status quo. They're happy with the, what's going on the property and the overall usage, they want to see it continue. Does anyone have any questions?
No, it's very good. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Drew.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.
Okay, town council, Brian, you're up.
Town council met on the 6th. The Newmarket Cub Scouts did the special meetings at the beginning. Very nice of them. We had several nominations, resignations. Lee Vedder resigned from the PBA. Doug Spiker joined the Arts and Tourism Commission. Ernie Stebbins to the Veterans War Memorial Committee. David Wade to reappointment to the Veterans War Memorial Committee. And Dylan Touche to the CBA. And Bill Mazzaro reappointed to the Veterans Memorial Committee, because I don't think he's on enough committees. Other than that, the Newmarket 2024 property tax rate was set by the state, and it is down to $17.20, down from $29.49. We have some resolutions in the second reading, going in favor of forest main preliminary design, Moonlight Brook stormwater investigation,